seems like there's so many promos and I should open a card because I'm going to get 0% interest and a free trip to Hawaii and miles and cash back and all the things at once.
Some credit card offers will come with just this crazy like offer. There's a bunch of things I think to just keep an eye on.
Well, I'm excited, Brad, to talk about rewards credit cards today. So maybe just start off for us. What even is a rewards credit card?
It's a great question. Rewards credit cards are basically incentives that are provided to cardholders for their spend.
Okay.
So the rewards can take different forms. So you can have cash back, you can have reward points, or you could have like miles for travel.
Yes.
So, those are typically the three types of rewards you're going to find with a credit card. And you basically are just getting rewarded for your spend.
So obviously, as a nation, we can read a whole bunch of stats about how the average carried balance is $7,000 for people and interest rates are in the mid-20s, right? Just crazy things. Why on earth would I want to use a credit card when these stats are just kind of a little crazy?
Yeah, I think it's all about how you use your credit card.
Okay.
So if you're using your credit card to rack up a bunch of debt and then you're struggling paying that minimum balance every single month, that could be maybe not the wisest way to use a credit card. But if you are paying that balance off every single month and some people use it for everything and then they pay that balance off every month and they're earning rewards along the way, it's a great way to get in, some additional cash back, some points that you can put towards a vacation. So I think that's, the reason why you'd want to keep using it if you can use it responsibly.
Okay, love that. So responsible use with your card makes it worth having the rewards. How else are rewards cards different from regular credit cards?
Obviously, a rewards card is going to earn rewards. The other type of credit card, I would just call a non-rewards card. You're not going to earn rewards. And the reason why you might use those types of cards is, like I was saying, if you are carrying a balance and you're not paying it off every single month, maybe interest rate is going to be what you want to be focused on, not on rewards.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think there's a reason to have both. But if you are, again, using it responsibly, you have a plan, either card could be the right card for you. You just have to know why you're using it.
Okay, love that. So let's say, hey, I'm paying my balance off every single month. I'm using my card responsibly. I definitely want a rewards card. You said there's 3 different rewards things, right? Cash, points, or travel. What else do I need to think about when choosing a rewards card?
Yeah, I think there's, at least in my opinion, there's 3 big things that you need to pay attention to.
Okay.
With a reward card. I think the first thing is the earn rate for your credit card.
Okay.
The earn rate is basically how many points you get for each dollar you spend. So typically the earn rate is about you get 1 point for every dollar you spend.
Okay.
But that can vary by card. So, some cards you might not get quite $1 or you have to spend a little bit more per point to get a point, and some you spend less. So that's something to definitely pay attention to.
Okay.
As you're looking at different card programs and evaluating which one's going to be best for you. The second thing, which I think is probably the most important, is what are your points worth, basically.
Yes.
So just because you've earned 10,000 points in one program may mean one thing and something completely different in another program.
Okay.
So, again, typically it is 1 cent per point, but it can be a little bit more, it can be a little bit less. So that's something that you definitely need to evaluate as well. So I guess maybe to give an example, if you had 10,000 points and each point was worth a penny, the value of your points would be $100. If if the value of your points was maybe 1.5 cents, which some programs you'll find that.
Yeah.
The value of 10,000 points would actually be worth $150. So
A little different. Yeah.
definitely a little bit different, right? So definitely as you're evaluating different programs,
Yeah.
that's something to pay attention to.
And something to pay attention to as well from a spending standpoint. Like, hey, rewards cards are awesome.
Mhm.
You're going to have to use a whole lot of your limit, right?
Yep.
In order to earn the rewards to get you somewhere. So it seems like time is something that you've got to factor into that too, right?
Absolutely.
And then what type of purchases you're making.
Yep. So, and I mentioned I had 3 things that
Yeah.
you're going to want to pay attention, and you just kind of led into one of the last ones is what's the value of what you're redeeming? So there are some programs where what you're redeeming for may not be something you actually truly value. I have a friend who was part of a reward program. We were talking back and forth about what he liked, what he didn't like. And he was talking about, well, my card's amazing. I earn all of these miles for everything that, every dollar I spend. I said, well, you don't really like to travel. And he's like, yeah, I don't. So I'm like, well, then that's probably not the right card for you. So again, paying attention to what can you redeem for in the program, I think is important. If it's not something that you value, then maybe look at another program that offers something that you do.
Yeah, I love that because really when it comes down to it, right, our money is all tied to what we value, right? That's what we're spending our money on typically, hopefully, something that we value. So getting that back from our rewards card makes total sense. So is there, we've talked about, hey, you can get travel points, normal points, cash, right? Those kind of 3 buckets that you had mentioned. Mm-hmm. Is there one that's better than the other typically, or really it just comes down to what you value?
Yeah, I think it comes down to what you value. Some people, they don't want to have to think about it a whole lot, right? They just want to set it and forget it. So in those types of situations, maybe a cashback card is the right fit for them because you don't have to select anything. You're not really going in and trying to figure out, okay, what's the value of these different things I want to redeem my points for? It's just automatically going into your account every month and you're getting some cash back via statement credit or however the program does it. So that might be a good fit for one person, while another person really, their needs change. And so getting into like a versatile program that, 1 month you may want to redeem for gift cards, and the next month you may want to have a travel rebate for a trip that you went on. So just, that versatility may be what another person might be more focused on.
Yeah, totally makes sense. And then as I'm sure everyone feels this way as I'm sifting through my mail, right? Mm-hmm. Seems like there's so many promos and awesome things in this beautiful envelope that I should open a card because I'm going to get, 0% interest and a free trip to Hawaii and miles and cash back and all the things at once. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, what do I need to watch out for?
Yeah, there's a bunch of things I think to just keep an eye on. The fine print's really important, right? Make sure you're reading that. Some credit card offers will come with just this crazy offer, get, however many points, 80,000, 90,000 points. Yeah. But in the fine print, you'll read, hey, but you also have to spend $10,000 in the first 2 months in order to get this reward. So, for some people, if they're not paying attention, that might come as a shock or as an alarm. Another thing is, some programs, they don't really change. So once you're in it, that's the amount of points that you get. That's your earn rate that we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. You get, a certain amount of points per dollar spent, and that's it. But other programs are a little bit more, they change. They can offer different promotions where you can earn, maybe double points for every dollar that you spend, or triple points for every dollar that you spend. And those things are just kind of nice perks to have along the way, because it's nice to have that. Again, going back to the versatility, the program kind of changes according to how you want to spend your money.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously, we're all partial to Mountain America's card offerings, right? Will you talk a little bit about, obviously, yes, we're talking about a rewards card, but what are the different types of cards that Mountain America has?
Sure. Yeah, Mountain America. So we do the cashback card.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people like the simplicity and I don't have to think about it, set it and forget it. And, every quarter I'm getting money deposited back via statement credit into my account, which is really nice. We have the rewards card, which, I think is probably our most popular card. And I think it's most popular because it's a very versatile program. I keep using that word, but
yeah.
It definitely has a variety of things that you can use it for. If you're into different events, you want to go to concerts and that sort of thing, those are redemption options for you. You can use your points to get cash back. So maybe you don't have a cashback card, but you log in and you're like, I need $50 this month. You go in and redeem your cards for cash. If you traveled, you can use a travel rebate. So it just makes it easy, I think, if you kind of change what you want, which most people do. I think most people, their needs change. And I think our card does a rewards program does a really good job of just meeting the members where they are.
What else do we need to know about rewards cards? Anything as far as best practices, right? I know sometimes it's like, oh, I want to gamify this. Any tips that we need to watch out for? Or is it really just tried and true, same as, managing your credit card balance?
Yeah, I think something that's really important is, again, know why you're using your card. If you can do it responsibly, I think if rewards are important to you, use your credit card for your everyday purchases. There's a lot of benefits to using your credit card, aside from rewards, like security and convenience and those types of things. And if you, again, pay that balance off every month, it's a great tool to earn additional incentives and rewards. However, if you don't, and you are paying interest at the end of every month, then you might be kind of canceling out the rewards that you're getting and the interest that you're spending. And so maybe you should focus a little bit more on the interest rate. And we have, as another credit card option, we have low rate credit cards. They don't offer rewards, but if that's not, what you're focused on right now, you're focused on paying off debt, I would focus on the low rate credit card.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we've talked about, hey, as long as we're paying it every month, right? Is that best practice? Pay your card off every month? Do you have any other tips that you would recommend that way?
Well, I definitely think, paying the card off every month is a best practice. It's something that, is a responsible way to use the card. Another thing that you should pay attention to, I guess, would be the convenience of the program. Logging into the application that runs your rewards program, is it a convenient process or is it a pain? I am very partial to Mountain America's process. I think it's very clean and it's easy to get into. The redemption process is super simple. I've seen others where, you're basically, it's almost like you're financing a house to get your reward points. You have to fill out paperwork. You have to send something in. There's different things.
Give a blood sample,
right?
All the things.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Hopefully it hasn't gone that far quite yet, but who knows? There might be something out there.
All right. So we've talked a lot about rewards cards. Brad, any other tips or thoughts we need to keep in mind?
Yeah, I think the overall service of the financial institution that you're working with is very important. Yeah. If it's a hassle to get a hold of somebody, if you're having issues with your card, if you have questions about the program, and if it's difficult to, if they don't have multiple options to get a hold of somebody to talk to them, via chat or over the phone, I think you might be in a program that would be difficult to be in long term. Again, going back to being a little partial and biased, I think the service at Mountain America is top notch. And if a member has questions about their cards, if they have questions about the program, it's really easy to go get a hold of us and get answers to those questions. The other thing that I think members should pay attention to, anybody using a rewards credit card, is kind of going back to the fine print. Do those reward points expire? Something to watch, and hopefully you're watching that point balance close enough and you don't lose points that you had earned. Just being mindful of that, I think, is important.
I love that. Do you have any, obviously you've been in the financial industry now for a very long time, right? Over a decade, right? Yeah. Any stories that you have of someone that has redeemed their points and it just was an incredible experience?
We hear about that occasionally. Yeah. We hear about, members who have used their points to, in those tight moments where they've run out of cash and they need just a little bit more to get them through to the end of the month. How some members just forget they had points, and then they, one day they're like, oh my gosh, I need $50 and I have just enough points to, get in there and redeem, and they get their cash, they get it quickly, and it helps them through maybe a tight spot in the month. I've heard of other, people talk about our travel rebate and not even really knowing that it's there before they went on a trip, and they come home, they're like, oh man, I spent so much money. As we all do, we kind of have that, oh my gosh, what did we do? We spent all this money.
Yes.
And having that travel rebate where you can retroactively reimburse yourself for expenses that you had is nice. It's just a breath of fresh air, and it's something that I think a lot of our members have appreciated.
Well, Brad, thank you for joining us today. And I definitely learned something. I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you. It was great being on this podcast.
Awesome. And thanks to all of you as well for joining us. And we will see you on the next episode of Guiding You Forward.